प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So thank you all so much for joining to continue our reading of this very beautiful scripture, Sri Updeshamrit, the Nectar of Instruction. So today we'll try to complete text 1 and the purport, the structure, the way Srila Prabhupada has structured it, he explains all the different urges. This verse is talking about all the different urges that one needs to control. So Prabhupada explains it very beautifully himself, and then he also quotes from his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Anuvritti commentary. So this helps us understand these urges in greater detail. And this verse, like, the way Nectar of Instruction is structured as we read through it, we'll see that this even though it's a small book, but it's taking us from the very basics, and it takes us right till Radha Kund. That's when it's going to end. So it's not that it just because of the size that it's just very less information or very basic information. It's not like that. It has information of a very varied degree, starting with the very basics, things that we need to really work on as beginners, as sadhakas, and then we can, that is going to take us step by step and to the highest degree of Krishna prema. So it's a very beautiful scripture, and it requires a lot of focus and very detailed reading, because if we just read through the purport just once, or if we read through the translation just verse, we can see, okay, yeah, these are the six urges that this verse is talking about, and we need to work on it. Okay, we can just brush through it. But why we are spending so much time and why we are reading it in such great detail is so that this really sinks in. Otherwise, something so important that this book is giving may just get neglected. And Prabhupada has also spent so much time in the purport, giving very detailed explanation, and even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has. So that shows us the importance of this verse. It's not something that we have to take lightly, because if our mind and our body are not under our control, then it's going to be very, very difficult for us to progress on the path of bhakti. Because this body is the vehicle that has been given to us, and it is through this vehicle that we are riding towards Krishna. Now, if this vehicle itself is not in our control, then how can we ride it towards Krishna? Then our body and our mind, they're going to just sway us in varied directions, and neither will we have peace, in this world, nor will we be able to progress on the path of spirituality. So that is why the physical and mental restraint is very, very important when we are on the path of devotional service. So that this is the importance of this verse, and thus we are spending so much time. We are reading everything in detail. Okay, so today we'll see if we'll try to complete the purport for text 1. Okay, so. Let's start with reading of the verse first, and then we'll come to the purport, and we'll continue from where Sitarani Mataji left yesterday. Okay, so we'll first read the verse. Shri Updeshamrit ki Nectar of Instruction ki jai, Shri Rupa Goswami ki jai. So would someone like to read? Mataji taught us how to read yesterday very beautifully. So would someone like to attempt?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu,
Shall
please.
I read Mataji?
Yes, yes, please read, Prabhu.
वाचो वेगं मनसः क्रोधवेगं जिह्वा वेगं उदरोपष्टवेगं एतान् वेगान् यो विषहेत धीरः स्व- सर्वं सर्वम् अपीमं पृथ्वं स शिष्यात्. Am I right, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Would someone else try to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavad
Mataji.
Pranam.
Pranam, Mataji.
वाचो वेगं मनसा क्रोध वेगं जिह्वा वेगं उदरोपस्थ वेगं एतान् वेगं यो विशेषेत धीरः सर्वम् अपि पृथ्वीं स शिष्यत्. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Bol Hare Krishna. Lalita Vinodini Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. May
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, yes.
वाचो वेगं मनसः क्रोधवेगं जिह्वा वेगं उदरोपस्थवेगं एतान् वेगान् विषहेत धीरः सर्वाम् अपि मां पृथिवीं स शिष्यात्. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Shobha Mataji, you wanted to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam.
Then
Vacho vegam manasa krodha vegam jikva vegam udarapastha vegam ethan vegan yo vishadeta dhiraha sarvam apiman prithvim sa shishyat. Haribol. Thank you, Mataji.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami is explaining to us that a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, this verse is talking about these different urges. Okay? So, we have read through Prabhupada's explanation, and then we had also read how, what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had said, and in yesterday's section, we had covered till, the the about the demands of the tongue and the belly. So today we'll start with this paragraph as far as urges of the genitals are concerned. We'll start here. So would someone like to read this paragraph?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, read Mataji.
As far the urges of the genitals are concerned, there are two, proper and improper, or legal and illicit sex. When a man is properly mature, he can marry according to the rules and regulations of the Shastras and use his genitals for begetting nice children. That is legal and religious. Otherwise, he may adopt many artificial means to satisfy the demands of the genitals, and he may not use any restraint. When one indulges in illicit sex, life as defined by the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually having sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, he is caught in the clutches of Maya. These instructions apply not only to householders but also to Tyagis, or those who are in the renounced order of life. In this book, Prema Vivartha, chapter 7, Sri Jagadananda Pandit says, Vairagi Bhai Gramya
You can try
Katana.
reading it in the CC meter. It works for this verse.
Okay. Which
Chaitanya
one,
Charita.
Mataji?
The way we used to read Chaitanya Charitamrit verses.
Okay. Please start, Mataji. I'll continue.
Yeah, like Vairagi Bhai Gramya Katha Na Shuni Bekane Gramya
ग्राम्य
Varta
वर्तना कही दे या पे मिल पे आने स्वपने ओ न करा भाई स्त्री संभाषणा गृहे स्त्री चादी भाई दिश्य च वना याधिकता याधी च प्रणय रखिते गौरंगे रसाने छोटा हरिदासेर कथा था के ये ना माने भला ना कहबे भला ना परिबे हृदय
Hridayate
राधा कृष्णा सर्वदा सविपे. My dear brother, you are in the renounced order of life and should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should you talk about worldly things when you meet with others. Do not think of women even in dreams. You have accepted the renounced order of life with a oath that forbids you to associate with women. If you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Do not eat luxurious dishes or dress in fine garments, but always remain humble and serve their lordships, Sri Sri Radha Krishna, in your heart of hearts. The
Yeah,
conclusion?
Mataji. Yeah,
Yes,
Mataji
Mataji.
will read this later. Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
first discuss this part. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So, yesterday, the urges of belly, genitals, sorry, the tongue and the belly was discussed. Now, the genitals. So, as it was described earlier, that uh, this is, I mean, this physical reunion of a man and women, it's not something which is condemned. This is something actually which can be very, very sacred, because this has the ability of bringing a new life into this world. So it is very, very important actually. This activity is very important. But the problem is the misuse of this activity. So that's when it is upastha vegam, this urge that, people think that they need to satisfy and without any controls, without any restrictions. That's what makes it wrong, because the society has glamorized this activity so much that it has actually diminished its importance. So sexual relations are not considered sinful or negative, but it is actually something which is very sacred, and thus it should be reserved only for bringing a new life into this world, because it gives one a chance to become actually co-creators with God, because you are part of something where a new life is coming into the world. So that importance of this activity has to be understood. It should not just be a very casual activity the way it is taken these days, and with the media and the movies and everything. It's not considered as a sacred activity anymore. It's just something that people take for enjoyment or for physical release. So that has actually trivialized this activity, which holds a lot of importance. But people, it has gone to such an extent that people even forcibly violate others. They commit violence towards others, and it gives this whole activity a very negative picture. So this kind of crime that happens because of this activity shows us how strong this urge is, that one is not one is not able to control at all. And it's not that only very hard-hearted criminals do that. No, this kind of violence happens even in with married people, with couples also. Such kind of violence happens. So that is how strong this urge is. But that is why we need scriptures to tell us what is the correct place of everything in our life. The correct thing is to maintain the right vision and use things for the purpose for which they are meant. Misuse of anything just creates havoc in our life and in the lives of others around us. So the point is not to deprive us, but to understand the purpose of this activity and act according to this purpose. Okay, so in Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary, we see that he has classified the urges into three categories: speech, mind, and body. So, and actually, these are the three things: speech, mind, and body are the three things through which we are supposed to serve Krishna. We are supposed to serve Krishna through our speech, through our body, and through our mind. But the problem is that these three are the source of the urges that are created. And thus, if not controlled, then what happens is the same things which were supposed to help us go closer to Krishna, those are the things that are taking us away from Krishna. So, with regard to the sexual urges, it is mentioned here that when one indulges in illicit sex life, as defined in the Shastras, either by thinking, planning, talking about, or actually having the sexual intercourse, or by satisfying the genitals by artificial means, then he is caught in the clutches of Maya. So people think that, okay, if I remember correctly, someone even asked Prabhupada that Prabhupada, why are you restricting sex life? It is something very natural. And Prabhupada said, yes, it is natural, but so is the coming of a child. Even that is natural. Why are you stopping that by artificial means? So that is where the problem comes, that one wants to indulge in this activity but does not want to take responsibility of bringing a new life into this world and indulging in this activity just for sense pleasure without understanding its importance. So uh, the correct understanding is very much needed. And here in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that these instructions apply not only to householders but also to Tyagis. And this very beautiful verses from Prema Vivarta by Sri Jagadanand Pandit, where he is recommending that people, or rather, instructing that those who are in the renounced order of life should not listen to talk about ordinary worldly things, nor should they talk about worldly things when you meet with others. And do not think of women even in dreams. So this attraction towards the opposite gender, it can really cause a lot of havoc, and that's why it has to be taken in the right mood. So marriage or any kind of physical relations are not condemned. When a man and a woman reaches a particular age, marriage is very much recommended. Prabhupada, even though he was a sannyasi, he was doing the Vivaha Sanskar for his disciples in the US, because he wanted to make them understand that when you come as a man and a woman in this sacred bond of marriage, then you take a vow. There are some vows you take in front of Agni, and then you enter Grihastha life with the right frame of mind. And devotee couples, when they are planning to have a child, also there is Garbhadan Samskar, and they seek blessings of seniors, and they chant more round so that their consciousness is right, so that once they are a part of this activity, their consciousness is correct, so that a very nice soul comes in the mother's womb. Otherwise, what is happening is that when people are engaging in this kind of activity just for sensual pleasure, without having a goal that I want a Krishna conscious child, and I want a nice child in our life, then all sorts of souls are entering the mother's body, and we can see around the level of morals, the level of maturity, the level of the correct way of leading the life has greatly reduced, because nobody is concerned about who you are bringing into this world. So that's, it has to be understood in the right mood, and marriage itself and further grihastha has to be entered into with the blessings of seniors. And in this verse, Shri Jagdanand Pandit is warning uh, by reminding us of the incident of Chota Haridas, because if you all remember when we read Chaitanya Charitamrit, how he was casually talking to a lady, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not see his face, and he would not through this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling us that these kind of relations between a man and a woman should never be taken casually, because it's like Prabhupada would say that it's like butter and fire. If there is fire near butter, the butter will definitely melt. So it's not something that has to be taken very lightly. That even in our temples, we all have to be very conscious that we don't indulge in kind of very casual talks with the opposite gender. Everything has to be done with the correct devotee etiquette. And some people say that, oh, you all say, in ISKCON, you say that we are not bodies, we are the souls. But why do you then discriminate that Mataji sit on one side and Prabhu sit on the other side? So, yes, we know that we are all souls, we are not these bodies, but we are in these bodies. So, we have to understand that there is a certain way in which we have to behave with the opposite gender. So, the way Matajis can behave with each other, we cannot behave with Prabhus in the same way, or Prabhus the way they are friendly with each other. The opposite thing cannot be there. So that is why we are taught this etiquette of, separate lines or separate places where we all sit, so that we are always constantly reminded that this is something that should not be taken lightly. Okay. Yeah. So this understanding uh, of the different urges has to be instilled in us, and that's why we are very fortunate that we have such great books which where we are taught about these things, because in these days society nobody even cares. Society has become so open that there is no etiquette that is being followed there. We are very fortunate that we are part of Srila Prabhupada's mission, where we learn the right things, the right way of behaving also. By Prabhupada's mercy, we are being taught. Okay. Yeah. So now let's read the last portion.
Hare
Please.
Krishna Mataji.
Yes,
Chota,
Mataji.
Chota Haridas brings nice quality of rice from some lady, and
Mhm.
Mahaprabhu rejects that, and he will not take the prasad at that time, and we have to go out. Is it Mataji? Chota
Yes,
Haridas will
Mataji,
become.
because yeah, and he talked to that Mataji,
Yes,
and so Mahaprabhu was asking that who actually brought this
yes,
rice. So he could understand that, he Chota Haridas would have gone, he would have talked to
yes,
that
yes.
Mataji, brought rice. So yes, yeah. So
Okay, Mataji.
Mahaprabhu is teaching us to not take these things casually.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji. Okay. Yeah.
Shall I
So
continue?
yes, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. The conclusion is that one can control these 6 items: speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals. He is to be called a Swami or Goswami. Swami means master, and Goswami means master of the go or senses. When one accepts the renounced order of life, he automatically assumes the title of Swami. This does not mean that he is the master of his family, community, or society. He must be master of his senses. Unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called Goswami but Godasa, servant of the senses. Following in the footsteps of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, the Godasas engage in the service of the senses or in the service of the material world. They have no other engagement. Prahlada Maharaja has further described the Godasa as Adanta Go, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. An Adanta Go cannot become a servant of Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.30, Prahlad Maharaj has said, Matirna Krishne Parata Paratah Swato Iva Mito Vipadyeta Graha Vratanam Adanta Gobir Visatam Tamisram Punas Charvananam. For those who have decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious, not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
So,
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Very good. Yes. So then Prabhupada states in the conclusion that the 6 urges, speech, mind, anger, tongue, belly, and genitals, if one is able to control these, then one is called a Goswami or a Swami. And Swami means master, Go means the senses. So one who is able to control the senses is called a Swami or a Goswami. And when one enters the renounced order of life, that's why they are called Swamis, because they have come over all these urges, and that's why they're given the title of Swami. So Prabhupada is explaining that this does not mean that he's the master of his family, community, or society, but he must be master of his senses. So many families, they have this title that they carry, but it's not just a title that can be given because you were born in a family of Goswamis, but this has to come to a person who has actually shown that kind of conduct, that kind of character, whereby they can be given this great title of a Swami or a Goswami. Because a sannyasi, especially in our Indian culture, at least we know that, okay, saffron, it just brings in some respect in our mind because why is that? If we see someone dressed in saffron, people naturally go and bow down to them or, do pranams to them because that shows tyag. That shows that, that person, he has given up these urges, these demands of the body, of the mind. They have overcome that. And that is something which is very, very special. That's why you must have heard that our gurus in ISKCON, we also call them Maharaj. Why are they called Maharaj? Because they have conquered something which is very difficult to conquer. They have conquered all these urges, and that is why they are Maharaj. Okay. So then Prabhupada is explaining that unless one is master of his senses, he should not be called Goswami but Godas. So that's the position of most of the people, that we are working, at least myself, that we are working as per the dictations of our senses. We like this, we don't like this, we want to eat this, we don't want to eat this, we want to hear this, we don't want to hear this, we don't want to get up in the morning, we don't want to do sadhana. Why is all this happening? Because we are letting our mind and body dictate our workings. So till we are in that state, we are Godas. But following in the footsteps of the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all Swamis and Goswamis should fully engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So, the what is one who's able to conquer these urges? What happens next? Then they are, their mind is completely on the spiritual level, and they engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. As opposed to this, what do the Godasas do? They serve the material world. So at any point, we cannot think that we are all independent. No, either we are serving Krishna or otherwise we'll serve Maya. There is no other midway. So we have to bring ourselves from serving Maya and our body to service of Krishna. Once we do that, we are reinstating ourselves in our natural position, and that is why we will be very, very happy. So Prahlad Maharaj has further described the Godas as Adantago, which refers to one whose senses are not controlled. So Adantago cannot become a servant of Krishna. Because servant, what does a servant mean? Being a servant means that you have to work as per the dictations of your master. Now, if we have our mind and senses as our master, then that means we are not servants of Krishna, but we are servants of our senses. We are Godas. But when we are able to control our senses and our mind, that's when we are able to serve Krishna. Because serving Krishna, it has to be totally for Krishna's pleasure. Then it should not be for our pleasure. That's why we should not discriminate between sevas. That, okay, I am only going to do this type of seva, I'm not going to do this seva. No, we should be ready and prepared to do whatever seva comes to us. Yes, we all have a psychophysical nature. We will be suited to a particular kind of seva, which we will be able to do better. So, yes, our seniors might see that and they might give us sevas according to that. But when some seva is given to us by our seniors, we should not be picky about seva. We should be willing to serve Krishna, even if it means washing the vessels or it means we have to sweep the temple floor. You should be ready for everything. And in this regard, His Grace Gaurang Prabhu, he quotes a very, a true but a funny story where, he was saying that he was in the Chapati temple and at that time he was serving in the kitchen. So one new brahmachari came and he had some Sanatan background. So he came to the temple and then the services were distributed. So this new person was also given kitchen seva. And after a few days of rolling chapatis, he became fed up. Then he came to Gaurang Prabhu and he said that I am a, I'm a great, I know our Vedas. I'm a Sanatani. Before also, I didn't come to your temple to roll chapatis. So I am not going to continue here. I'm going to leave. He left. Then many years later, in one of Gaurang Prabhu's lectures, that same person after the lecture, he came and he met Gaurang Prabhu and he said that day I left the temple saying that I'm not going to roll chapatis. I went ahead with my life. I got married. Soon after my marriage, my wife developed some back problem. So she cannot make chapatis. So in my home, I am only making chapatis. So see, that same seva which he could have done in the temple kitchen of Sri Radha Gopinath, he was doing that same work. But now he was doing just for his family, leaving that opportunity of doing that seva for Shri Radha Gopinath ji, Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Gopal ji, and all the wonderful devotees of his Chapati. So that same activity, we will all be working. There is some way or the other, we have to maintain our bodies, we have to run the house, we have our jobs, we have our families. The activities will not stop. But who are we doing these activities for? We are doing these activities for Krishna. That needs to be very strongly instilled in our minds. So we should not let our mind take us here and there. Rather, we should be able to control our mind, and through our intelligence, we should be able to dictate our mind and take our mind where things are favorable for our practice of Krishna consciousness. So, to summarize, as per Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's purport in his Anuvritti commentary, he states that there are three kinds of urges: urges of the speech, mind, and body. And in speech, we understand that the problem is prajalpa. Karmis, jnanis, karmakandis, they are constantly engaging in a lot of nonsensical talk. So it's not that we have to totally shun the material world and we have to just stop talking to everybody. Or, it was explained in Prabhupada's purport also that Prajalpa also means uh, gathering a useless information. In the name of being aware of what's happening around us, there's so much of information through social media, newspapers, news channels that is being fed into our minds. Yes, we should be informed about the current affairs of the world. We should know about the important issues, but we should not be too consumed by it. And we have to understand the relation between information and function. This information of, for example, some politician, his family, his son, how many kids he has, or some Bollywood star or other hero, how many wives he had, how many children he has, what car one drives, this sportsman has that car. No, this kind of information is being fed to us because we are in this world, but it is so useless. It serves no function for us. So we have to be intelligent enough to understand between information that is actually useful for us versus information that serves no purpose for us. So that is that information that we need to take out of our minds. So we have so much information now that is not related to function that we try to artificially create a function for that trivia that we know. So we'll see people who are just sitting and discussing about politics because they know so much. They know all the full background of a particular politician and they'll be just sitting discussing. Now, what function does this serve? No, no function at all. So that is not really required. Yes, we should know, okay, because we have to exercise our right to vote. So we should know that what work everyone has done. But going into details about someone's life which have no, importance for us, that is the kind of things we should avoid. And also, like, in family, just sitting and uselessly talking about family, random family members. He did that, she did that, he said that, she said that. Oh, cribbing and, going back 30 years on this day in 1982, this was said, that was spoken, has no purpose for us. As sadhakas, we have to understand how precious time is. Krishna says, I am time. So if we are wasting time, we are wasting Krishna in our lives. So we have to be, and there is so much to do in our spiritual life, isn't it? We have to chant our rounds, we have to attend classes, we have so many wonderful books we have to read, we have to really, associate with devotees, we have to serve Krishna, we have to do arti, we have to cook. Where is the time to sit and gossip unnecessarily? So, this urge really needs to be controlled. And what is the solution? That we should bring Harikatha in our life. And Harikatha also, it should not be just for information that I have memorized all 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. No, this scriptural information is for transformation in our life. Just like when a doctor gives a prescription, that prescription is not for information. I am not supposed to just memorize the names of those medicines. I am supposed to take that medicine so that there is a transformation in my body and I am cured. In the same way, when we are reading scriptures, it's not just an academic thing. We have to really understand what we are reading and take it inside so that it transforms our heart and it cures us of this material disease. That is why it's so wonderful that all of you attend such wonderful classes on a regular basis and very seriously. It's not something that we are just doing casually because there's nothing else to do. Let's just attend one class. No, you all are coming daily. That means you are committed that I want to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. I want to understand nectar of instruction so that I'm able to transform myself and cure myself internally. So that's about the urge of speech. And then mind and anger, they both relate to our expectations, right? Because our mind is making us think of so many things, and when our expectations are not fulfilled, then we become angry. So we need to go back and see whether our expectations were actually genuine or unwarranted, because we have to understand that this world is a place of misery and things are going to go wrong. So we need to really reduce our expectations, because if we are expecting something from someone and we are not getting that kind of reciprocation from them, then we feel sad, then we feel angry, and then, it just creates a lot of negativity in our lives. We have to understand that everyone has their own limitations. Krishna is one person where the amount of love we give him, we'll receive more. So rather than focusing our love and all our attention on people in this world where we are sure to get disappointed, why not focus that much energy on Krishna and his devotees? So you'll see in a devotee sangha, at least in my life, I have seen that there was a time when I was irregular for many reasons. And even now, when some problems come in the family, maybe we are not able to visit the temple on a very regular basis. But even if you go back after a break, the devotees are so loving. It's not like anybody ignores us because we missed a few Sundays. No, they are so loving because they get this quality of love from Krishna. So they have to be we have to be conscious that this is actually where our main energy should go. Yes, we have to do all our work in the world. We have to fulfill our duties, our responsibilities, but our mind and the focus should actually just be towards devotees and Krishna, because that is one place where we will never be disappointed. That is for sure. Next up, we understood about the Jiva, Udara, and Upastha, how they are in the straight line. And these three in one line indicate that there is a physical connection between them. And our desires, we have to understand that our desires are not just on a mental level. Our physical, our physical surroundings, our physical, state that in which we are in, that also affects our mental state greatly. So there is a physical reason also, why, because these three are in a straight line. How are they connected? Because physical stimuli can really increase our desires or change our desires. The physical affects the mental and the mental affects the physical. For example, if I just go and lie down on the sofa very casually with a nice cushion and then I try to read a book, my my body is not really going to be alert, and my mind is not going to be able to understand much. And even if I had not been feeling sleepy before, if I put my physical body in that state, it will affect my mind. That's why, the students are always told, sit straight, sit straight. We keep telling our children, when you're studying, especially, sit straight, because that affects our concentration. So this shows that our physical and mental state, they are linked. That is why we should not just say that, okay, why are all these rules and regulations? Why should I dress up in a particular way if I'm going to a temple? People say that, why can't I wear a short skirt and go to the temple? This is discrimination. And why, why Prabhupada taught the Westerners to dress in Indian attire? Why did he teach them to make these Indian dishes? Because our physical things are going to affect our mentality. We are going to change, the way we are looking at certain things, the way we are feeling. I think all of us have this experience that if we are dressed in a very nice Vaishnav attire and we go to the temple, we just feel that we gel more, we feel more part of everything that's going on, we just feel more involved in everything. That's why it's important, our dress, our hair, our way of talking, because these physical things are affecting our mentality also. So we have to be cautious about these things. Then about eating, we read in this verse that it should not be too much and it should not be too little also, which Krishna also explains in the Bhagavad Gita. And if we are eating too much, then that causes bloating in the stomach and that increases passion in our body. And that can cause one to do a lot of wrong things also, even things like illicit sex. So all these things, our mouth, our belly, our genitals, everything is connected. And if we are able to control the agitation of the tongue, then we are not succumbing to the jiva vegam, and that is going to help us control all the other urges. So that is why it's so very important that we should eat only prasadam, and that also with a very good consciousness of not enjoying the food but rather accepting that as Krishna's mercy. And in yesterday's section, we read about the very beautiful prasadam prayers, the first part of which comes from Mahabharata, and then there is a prayer by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And in this prayer, we read that firstly there is lamentation, and then there is glorification of the Lord, and then thanking the Lord for the prasad. And prasad, we should not just take it for bodily maintenance, but the focus is on how Krishna has manifested as the prasad so that we can overcome the material existence, which is very, very difficult to overcome. And if we are able to control the tongue, then it becomes simpler to control the other senses. Now, if someone is used to eating dead things, like people eat non-vegetarian food, then it's going to be that their life is going to be in tamogun, completely in darkness. Someone who's eating too much of spicy food, they'll have a lot of rajagun. If we are eating milk, grains, fresh vegetables, etc., then sattva, goodness will increase in our body. If someone is taking intoxicants, then that is called mahatamo, great amount of darkness in their life. And prasad is the best form that, we offer everything to Krishna and only then accept it. So prasad is transcendental. It should not be taken as just ordinary food, but prasad is transcendental. But also very important is our consciousness while accepting prasad. So in our tradition, in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition in ISKCON, we are told to and advised to offer everything to Krishna, because the problem is with some some people, especially from our Indian background, that when they hear the word prasad, they accept maybe some laddu or some barfi or some panchamrit or some, something very small, given in small quantity, something sweet. This is a misconception a lot of people have, that you cannot offer anything salty to God or anything bitter to God. You should not, you should only offer sweets. So that's not right. Anything that has to be consumed has to be first enjoyed by Krishna, then it becomes prasad, and that is what we should have. So once I was telling my friends about a story of in one temple, how the Matajis, they were cooking for Krishna, and somehow what happened that day is that they cooked a lot of fried items. And then they were looking for one more sabji that they had to make, and they found karela in the fridge, so they made karela. And so with all the different fried items, karela sabji was also made. And then that Mataji was saying that when She went somewhere and she read in a newspaper that if you're eating too much of oily food, then if you eat something bitter, then that kind of balances. So she was very happy that, oh, to the deities, we offered fried foods, but we balanced it with Karela. So I told my friends this story in a Gita class, and they were like, oh, you offer Karela to God? Oh my God, you should not offer Karela. It's bitter, na? So, like Mataji was saying that yesterday, that Krishna likes all tastes. So Karela also has to be offered. Everything should be offered to Krishna, except for the prohibited items, but everything should be offered. And some people have a problem that, oh, how can you all have pizza as prasadam? Hmm. The thing is that different people have different cuisines as prasad. They're coming from different backgrounds. So, for someone who's coming from Italy, pizza is a very common thing for them. That is their food. So they will offer pizza. So pizza will be prasadam. So the cultural expression of the spiritual principle will be varied depending upon time, place, and circumstance. Different kind of things will be offered. So pizza can be prasad, but we should not be seeing prasad from a material vision and differentiate that I am going to eat pizza, I'm not going to eat rice. That's not what we should do. But it does not mean that pizza is less of a prasad than rice. No, in accepting a pizza or rice as prasad, we should just be thinking of Krishna. That how this is Krishna's mercy and this is going to take me closer to Krishna and thank Krishna for that. So the whole point of everything is that what is it that uh, is increasing my remembrance of Krishna in what we speak, in our family life, in what we eat, what we consume, what we see, what we read, the kind of people we interact. We always have to question ourselves. Is this thing taking me closer to Krishna or not? Then that will help us take a lot of decisions in our life. If there is something in our life which is kind of neutral, it's not helping me, but not taking me away from Krishna, and it is very, very important, as a duty, then we do that. But there are some things that may actually, they may be some things we are doing, but they're actually taking us away from Krishna. Then gradually we have to remove those activities from our life, because the whole purpose of this material life, I mean, if this of this human form of life, is to go back to Krishna. Not be here and enjoy here. Like someone asked a question to His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu that, why, in Satya Yuga, when Satya Yuga ends and then each yuga then progresses, then why this progression kind of happens, why are people just not taken back, something like that. Someone asked that, why annihilation takes place and again creation and all this cycle, why does it keep happening again and again? Why can't people just, lead a, why can't life just go on? Why are there breaks like this? Something like that. Then Prabhu explained that the purpose is not to just continue in this material world nicely. The purpose is to go back to Krishna. So everything that is designed is to make us understand that this is not our natural place. So annihilation is taking place, again we are coming, again we are suffering. It's Dukhalya Meshashvatam. Constantly we are reminded through birth, old age, disease, and death that this is not our actual place. But the problem is that we choose to ignore that kind of information. And why is that happening? Because we cannot follow those instructions. Why? Because we want to enjoy our body. We want to enjoy this life. And any kind of restriction that is imposed on us reduces that enjoyment at the bodily level. For example, we don't eat onion garlic, we don't drink tea, coffee. So people think that we are being deprived of all these things. That, oh, you don't drink tea, coffee, cola drinks, and all these things. Oh, you don't eat onion garlic. There's so many wonderful dishes that you people don't eat. You're depriving yourself. But devotees don't feel like that. It's not deprivation. It is that, these instructions are given. We follow these instructions because there's a higher goal in our life. And when one is following that higher goal, one gets a higher taste also. So, yes, maybe initially it was difficult to leave onion garlic for many of us, but after a while, we hate the smell of onion garlic, isn't it? So, everything that is there in our life, everything that we surround ourselves with, we have to be very conscious that what we are feeding inside our mind is what is going to stay there. And then we don't know. At the last moment, that thought might come to me. And if it was a non devotional thought, then I have to take another birth. So, yes, we cannot, completely stop our material interactions. That is going to be there. We still have families, we have our work, but we have to keep reducing the distractions as much as possible. Everything that we are doing should be very, very conscious. We should not take life lightly. Everything that we are putting in our mouth, is it offered to Krishna? Is it something that Krishna would like? If I'm behaving in a particular manner, we should be asking ourselves, Krishna is watching me. Prabhupada, my Guru Maharaj, they are watching me right now. Will they like it if I behave in a particular manner? Will they like it if I say these unkind words to someone? Is Krishna going to like that? Is my Guru Maharaj, is Srila Prabhupada, are they going to like it? If not, then we should not say those kind of words. Will Prabhupada like, it's not, see, we are lucky that we are in a society, we are in a sampradaya where Krishna is very personal. He's not some God who's just sitting far away passing judgment. He stays there, we stay here, he minds his own business, we mind our own business. It's not like that. Krishna is very much present in our lives. So we should always know He is with me all the time. So there may be very difficult situations in our life where we just want to run away from that or we want to say something to the other person. But we have to ask ourselves, my Lord is with me, He is watching me. Is He going to like my saying this? If not, then we should refrain from that. We should refrain from that kind of conversation. We should refrain from our mind going in a particular direction. We should refrain from using our body in a certain way. We should refrain from eating certain things because ultimate goal is Krishna Prem. Everything has to be done so that we are gradually moving towards that supreme goal of life. Once we are on this path, Krishna's reciprocation becomes very apparent and he is seeing our intentions. The most important thing is our intentions. See, we are born with a particular kind of physical body and a particular kind of psychophysical nature, which is very difficult to change. So, yes, all of us react differently. But what is really in our hands is our intentions. Are we really, do we really have the right intentions? If we do, then Krishna is going to send all the help. That is something we don't have to worry about. He is the most loving, the sweetest father. It's just that we need to work on ourselves. So, in conclusion of the theme of NOI, this whole thing of Godas and Goswami is that you can serve only one master. You can either serve your senses or you can serve Krishna. If you serve your senses, then one becomes a Goswami or controller of the senses. And if you serve Krishna, then one becomes a Goswami or controller of the senses. And in this verse, that is what is stated that one who is able to control all these urges gets so qualified to become a spiritual master. So these things are very, very practical and these are urges that we counteract in our daily lives. So when we are reading these scriptures, these verses, these explanations, beautiful explanations of Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, then we are getting so many practical tips of how we can actually overcome these urges. So we should try to read, and understand with a lot of focus, and then also try to imbibe these learnings in our life. Okay. So we'll stop here today. So we were, by Prabhupada's mercy, we were able to complete the first verse. Tomorrow we'll start with verse number 2. So if any questions, any
Mataji,
comments? Yes, Mataji.
yeah, Mataji, Hare Krishna. This
Hare
the
Krishna,
last
yes.
chewing the chew. I've heard it
Mhm.
many times. I want to have a little clarity on that.
Yeah, Mataji, it's like, this explanation is given with reference to cows. Cows, they eat their food and then they store it somewhere and then they bring it back and they chew it again. They keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yes,
in our material context, all these objects of sense pleasure, there is no, it's already chewed. There is nothing in them, but we are chewing them again and again, trying to get some pleasure out of it. But it's actually
Okay.
just chewing the chewed. Something that has already been done, and all whatever little pleasure we could get of it is already done. But we are so
Yeah.
ignorant that we are madly engaging in chewing the chewed, trying to get some joy out of something where no joy is present. That's the problem.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, Mataji. Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you all so much for joining. See you again tomorrow. We'll start with verse number 2. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो
नमो
नमः
नमः। अनंत
वैष्णव
कोटि
की जय,
वैष्णव की जय,
शिव
जय
श्री
जय
श्रीला
शिला
प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद
की
की
जय,
जय
स्वामी की जय, श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे
जय।
कृष्णा, धन्यवाद
हरे
प्रणाम। Thank you
हरे
all for
कृष्णा
joining.
माता जी
Dandavat
माता
pranam.
जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna.